We're going to call the Star City Council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, January 20th, 2026 at 7 p.m. here at the Star City Council chambers. Can you please all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, tonight's invocation is by Bishop Casey Andreasen of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Want to come up here, sir? Or Bishop? Sorry. Sir works. Thank you, Bishop. All right, roll call.
Day.
Here.
Wheelock.
Here.
Salmonson. Here. Nielsen.
Present.
All right, we're all present. Okay, first item up is 4A is the police chief report. We'll get Sean to pull that up for you. It's the awkward silence. All right, Chief.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. I'm Tim Haynes, the Chief of Star Police, and I appreciate the opportunity to come and present the report for the month of December. This is closing out our year, and though these numbers will not be completely final until we do our NIBRS update in a couple months, the year looks pretty good. We had a goal of 18 crimes per 1,000 people less than, and we hit 11.8 for this year based on Compass's current estimated population of 22,370. So it's 11.8 exactly. That might change slightly, but I think that's about where it's going to be. We dropped to, before I say this, for those who are not familiar, if you look up the upper right corner, you'll see a legend which shows which crime types fall into which categories. We had 8 persons crimes, 3 property crimes, and 12 society crimes. Among these person crimes, one was a battery on law enforcement officer. We had 2 domestic violence incidents. One included a pregnant victim. And we had 1 attempted strangulation amongst all of those. So December was a busy month in terms of that type of crime. Our police activity is the highest so far. We're at 7.3 proactive incidents compared to every 1 call for service. That's really high, and it demonstrates that the deputies, instead of resting for December, they put in a lot of work. You know, most people are slowing down. I think when you look at select call types, you've got 2 that really stand out. They had 503 traffic stops, which is much higher than our monthly average for the year. And then we had 35 juvenile activities. And when discussing it with the deputies, I think what we concluded is the warm Christmas break probably brought a lot of people out. 8 total arrests, 2 of those being DUIs, and there's a drop to 10% in the number that involve drug charges. I think that's part of the trend that we've discussed before, where they'll move into different areas as the word gets out because they all tend to run in the same circles. So we're starting to see a decrease because they're moving to their traffic is moving to different areas. Large amount of citations for the month, 105 total citations. One of the best things we've got here is 0 mental holds for December, which is pretty rare. So the people in Star are happy. And our response times are for in Star is well below what we want of 4 minutes. We got 2. 25, and then just over for outside of Star for 4 minutes and 1 second. With that, I'm happy to stand for any comments or questions.
Any questions for Chief? No, do you have a question?
No, just 100 and, how many, 104 tickets?
105.
105 Christmas presents given by the police. Thank you.
I'm afraid so.
So did, on the drug stuff, was it last month or November when our guys busted those two big drug rings?
They had, they had 2 inside Star City limits, and then one of our confidential informants gave us the information to help BPD arrest 28 pounds of meth. So that last month was pretty active for drugs.
Yeah. So our Star Police do a really good job out there on going after this stuff to keep it out of our neighborhood. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Any further questions for Chief?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So on the next item is the quarterly financial report. Michelle is at another event tonight, so I'm going to do this real quickly for her. And this is from October 1 through December 31st. If you look at our revenues, we're at 20% of what our total revenues were anticipated for the year. However, property tax revenue has not come in yet because it was just collected there in December. If you look at our expenses, we're at 19% of our expenses for the year, and everything's looking pretty good. Let's see, when you look at our property taxes here, it shows that 397% of what we budgeted. It's because,
Can we get that up on the screen?
oh,
No. I thought I saw it there right below the police report. If you just scroll down.
yeah. The awkward silence again, sorry.
It's a soothing picture.
And we got the,
Same was last night.
oh, that game was last night, okay. There we go. All right, go to the next page, Sean. There we go. Scroll down a little bit more. If you go down towards the bottom, you see that about, what is it, about 5 or 6 up on property taxes. It says we're at 397% of our budget. And we purchased 2 properties this last year that all came out. The taxes just came out. We have to pay the normal taxes on it the first year, and then once that rolls over and comes to a city, becomes a government entity, we don't have to pay any property taxes on it, like $8 or something like that. That's why that number looks so high. One was for a police substation that we purchased by the middle school, and the other one was for some property for additional parking down there by the river house. Just to let you know with that. When you look at our professional dues and our animal control and our professional services and our insurance, that always is going to show 100% or nearly at 100% right at the beginning of our fiscal year, because you have to pay all those things up front, just so you're aware. So that's where we stand. Any questions?
None. Thank you for this information.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 5, the consent agenda.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman Solomon.
I move to approve the consent agenda consisting of 5A, approval of claims, 5B, approval of minutes for January 6, 2026, and 5C, the confirmation of appointment of Chris Todd to the Impact Fee Committee, Craig Peoples to the Transportation Committee, and Sina Floyd and Jill Rogers to the Beautification Committee.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Who was the second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Day. Wheelock.
Aye.
Solomonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you. Awesome. On to item 6, we're here now to the public hearings with our action items. And just real quick, for those of you that are not aware, you need to sign up on the sheets back there if you want to speak at one of the public hearings. I'm going to open the public hearing and ask the council if there's any ex parte contact or communication. Our staff, which is Sean over here, will present the application, and then the applicant has up to 20 minutes to present their project. The council can then ask the applicant and staff questions. Then we'll have public testimony at 3 minutes per person. For those that are for it, against it, or neutral, the council may ask that individual that's up here speaking follow-up questions. When you come up here to the podium to speak, you need to please state your name and your address for the record. Okay. The applicant will then have a 10-minute rebuttal. Council will ask the applicant and staff additional questions. I will close the public hearing. The council is going to deliberate. They're either going to make a motion to approve it, approve of conditions, deny, or table the application to a date certain in the future. Only the person that's up here at the podium has the right to speak. We don't want any outside chaos in the, I guess is what you call it, in the seats out there, okay? And we just all want to be respectful for the process. All right. With that said, it is 7:10, and I am going to open the public hearing for the Red Bar Inn Development Agreement Modification. This was tabled from a previous meeting, and ask the council if they have any ex parte contact or communication regarding this project.
No.
None.
Hearing none. John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is a continuation of the public hearing for the Red Barn Inn Development Agreement Modification. You tabled this item from the December 2nd, 2025 council agenda. You had asked staff to bring back specific uses that are allowed in the CBD, Central Business District Zone, to include with the modified development agreement. Back in December, we did not have that list. And so staff has provided within your staff report memo the list of all the uses allowed, prohibited in the CBD zone. Staff did meet with the applicant after the last meeting and went through the uses one by one and came back with a proposal for you to consider this evening for the uses to include within the development agreement for the property located on Main Street.
Okay, can we go over those uses?
Yeah, I'll just scroll down, and if you have any questions.
Well, I'm going to point them out just so the public's
Yeah.
aware.
Yep.
Because they're not,
Yeah.
that's
go ahead.
okay. So on the animal care facility, we said it's going to be a conditional use for indoor only, no outdoor animal care facility stuff there. On the arts, entertainment, recreation facility, change it from a permanent or a permitted use to a conditional use where it has to have a public hearing. Automotive mechanical repair to a no from a conditional use. The bar, tavern, lounge, drinking establishment from a permitted use to a no. A brewery and distillery to a conditional use. Building material and supplies, garden equipment to a no from a permitted use. Okay. Conference convention center to a no from a permitted use. A convenience store to a no from a conditional use. Drive-through establishment, drive-up service window to a no from a conditional use. Oh, I might just throw up a little bit. Sorry, as I try to read that screen when he moves it. I'm sorry. Financial institution to a conditional use from a permitted use. Gasoline, fueling, and charging stations to a no from a with or without a convenience store to a no from a conditional use. Healthcare and social services, a conditional use from a permitted use. A hospital to a no from a permitted use. Hotel, motel, change it to a permitted use from conditional because that's what this was originally approved as. So we gave them that approval already. Institution to a no from a conditional use. Laboratory conditional use for all of those laboratories. The laundromat, a conditional from permitted. Laundry and dry cleaning, a conditional from a permitted. Office security facility to a no from a permitted use. A pawn shop to a no from a permitted use. Portable classrooms for private or public education to a no from a permitted use. Research activities conditional from a permitted, a conditional for a restaurant from a permitted. A service building is conditional from a permitted. Unfortunately, our shooting range indoor and out would be a no. That's not an appropriate area for that. Swimming pool, commercial public to a no from a permitted. Vehicle emissions testing to a no from a permitted. Vehicle repair, minor, a no. Vehicle sales, a no. And vehicle washing facilities, a no from conditional. And wireless communication facility to a no from a conditional. And then everything else as it states in our code is either conditional or no or permitted use. All right, you have any questions of staff? Go ahead, go ahead, Councilman Wheelock.
So Sean, as we've looked in in the commercial to residential inside the business district, we've talked about setbacks and stuff that are currently permitted with the conditional use. With this possibly changing from the Red Barn Inn that's approved, would we still have all those setbacks appropriate if it changed titles of the commercial use?
Yes, the Red Barn Inn has their specific site plan approved. Anything else would require a review of the current CBD zoning ordinance.
Even if it was permitted?
Yes.
Okay, so the zero lot line concern that I have would be unless it was commercial on the other side of the property line.
Correct. If a piece of property is adjacent to an existing residential use, it has a 15-foot side yard setback. Unless it's negotiated between the two property owners.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions of staff at this time?
Mayor Chadwick?
Councilwoman?
So regarding the uses, I had a couple questions about them. So for the convenience store, the reasoning, can you explain the reasoning? My thought was, I could totally agree, like against a gas pump having that there, but maybe, like if somebody wanted to put in a small little convenience store that had milk and bread and candy or whatever. So I was thinking if we made it conditional, at least it doesn't take it off the table, especially with, there's a number of residents and the park right there. So just what was the reason to make that completely not permitted? And is
Mr. Mayor and Council, staff didn't believe that the property was large enough to
okay.
have a
Okay.
convenience store, especially with the setbacks applied and everything. It's just too small.
Too small. Okay. So another one was the healthcare and social services. So that's conditional. And then medical clinic, in the definition between those two items, they're pretty similar. If you want, I can read it out loud. And so I was wondering if maybe we should change that medical clinic to conditional also. If the healthcare and social services is conditional, the other one that's very similar, I don't.
What was it? What was the,
So I'll read off if you want me to read the definitions.
what's the name of it again?
So healthcare and social services,
Yes.
and that one is for walk-in healthcare services.
Right.
Includes dentists, physicians, chiropractors, optometrists, mental health, etc. And then medical clinic, it's you have
By the way,
left it as permitted. And then that one is building used for the care, diagnosis and treatment of persons who seek medical, surgical attention.
Yeah, we can make that conditional if you'd like.
Conditional also,
Yes.
okay. Let's see, so
well, we have, okay, real quick, let's,
Yep.
oh, so you're saying you want to make that conditional from
Conditional.
permitted?
yeah.
Oh, I got you.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
So regarding the swimming pool, not knowing about like how big if the site has to be or anything for a pool, but like our residents want a pool. What if it was indoors? And it's people pay to go in there. Is that site, would it work there for an indoor pool?
I don't think with the
I
parking.
think you don't have the
requirement.
parking.
No?
It's a
Okay.
pretty small.
Too small, all
property.
right. So just want to make sure we're not taking off anything that, maybe somebody comes along and they want to do it.
Well, and it doesn't stop them from, if they combine lots, to come back in and make a change if they needed to.
Yeah, they can always request a
Request it
change
later
of the, and again, this has been vetted by the property
by
owner,
the,
these uses. Yeah.
okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions of staff? No? Council? No? Is the applicant here to speak tonight?
She is.
Oh, you want to come talk?
Oh.
We'll have you come up here, just
To
your
say
name-
hi.
put your name and record and address on the record and stuff, and
Diane Lay, 341 South Main Street.
Okay.
No, I mean, unfortunately, life happens. So we are in the process of selling the property instead of building our dream in like we all had hoped to. So we're just trying to, make it easier to find the right buyer for, is what the purpose of changing the development plan is. And hopefully we got rid of all the stuff that would be bad for the neighborhood and be inconvenience, because as of now, we live next door to it. So we don't want any crazy stuff going in there that would impact, the neighborhood. So we hopefully eliminated the stuff that would be a poor impact or a poor fit for the neighborhood and left stuff in that would be a benefit.
Okay. You guys have any questions of the applicant?
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
Thank you, guys.
Speaking.
That wasn't painful, was it?
That is the first time when we were trying to get.
Right. Right. All right, we have two people that signed up, but they chose not to speak, but they will be part of the record. Jeff Dirks and Ron Spencer. So with that said, did you want to say anything else? No? Okay, you guys have any further questions of staff then? Okay, hearing none, it's 7:21. We're going to close the public hearing and move to council deliberations.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
I appreciate the work that staff did, as well as you as the applicant. Thank you for that. This, like you said, we did put a lot of work into this to get it positioned for your dream. And I'm sorry that didn't work out the way you'd hoped. I think the development agreement that we had, it had a lot of rights attached to it that we were not originally comfortable just opening that up for a sale and let anything go in there. So this work was really to be more clear about what could possibly happen on that property if we change the development agreement. And I think that preserves the goals that we had. The work done has preserved the goals that we had to make sure that property, when it sells, it can develop into something that is compatible with the neighborhood and compatible with the plans in the city of Star. So with that, I'm supportive of this, and curious if any other members want to weigh in on that, or if you're comfortable with the motion.
Yeah.
You could make a motion and we
Thank
can
you.
still chime in,
Yeah, absolutely. But
is the reality.
sure. But this is deliberation.
I agree with everything that you have said. I appreciate the applicant to be here tonight and go through all these uses. That is a really important part of this. And so I want to make sure, and also fair to the applicant and living next door. I think, you're going to be right next to it. So thank you for making those recommendations. And so I have no objection and am in support of it.
Okay, any further deliberation or motion?
No, other than to say, if you felt like selling the Red Barn Inn plans with it, it would still be a great product for Star.
Okay. Motion?
Mayor Chadwick, I move that we approve this application for development agreement modification. And again, appreciate the work that staff and the applicant put into doing this.
Do we need to include Jennifer's changes in that motion?
I will include the changes
Yes,
to
yes.
to make the medical clinic a conditional use.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second by Councilwoman Solomon. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Day.
Aye.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we are going to move on to 6B. Our Dayspring Church Annexation and Zoning Development Agreement and Conditional Use Permit. It is 7:24. I'm going to open the public hearing and ask the council if they have any ex parte contact or communication regarding this project.
None.
None.
Nope.
Hearing none. Sean, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Your next public hearing is for the Dayspring Church. Applicant is requesting approval of an annexation and zoning, development agreement, and a conditional use permit. Property is located at 9701 West Beacon Light Road. Property being annexed is 8.17 acres in size. The zoning designation would change from RUT, which is the Ada County designation, to a rural residential RR city zone. Conditional use permit is to allow the church facility for the Dayspring Church. Within that, the applicant is proposing phasing of the project, which I'm sure they will get into in detail in just a moment. Staff has reviewed the application for the specific requirements, including the submittal requirements, agency transmittals, legal noticing, and the site has been posted for the standards of the Unified Development Code. Staff has also reviewed the application for compliance with the Unified Development Code and the City Comprehensive Plan. Future land use designation for this property is residential. You do not have any late exhibits before you. Items for consideration this evening include access to the site, landscaping and fencing, land uses within the application, future zoning certificates and design review, noise, parking, hours of operation, phasing of the facility, and ACHD requirements. Staff is recommending approval of this application with the conditions of approval that are recommended within the staff report. Again, this is the location of the site on the south side of Beacon Light Road between Pollard and Wing. Just for reference, this is the Sunfield subdivision. This is the River Creek subdivision. Applicant has provided a few documents. I'm sure they have some more that they will show you. I'm just going to show you real fast the proposed site plan. And that's all staff has. Thank you.
Any questions for staff at this time?
Nope, I'm going to wait.
No? All right, we'll have the applicant come up. And like I said, folks, please state your name and address for the record, please. And our timer is actually up here on the wall for everybody that's testifying on there.
I have to move this up a little bit further.
Do you have a stool for our podium? Dig a hole. Wow. Had to give him a handheld mic.
Yeah, I can just hold that.
Yeah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and Mr. Mayor. My name's Rob Nyhoff. My address is 22697 Ryan Drive, Wilder, Idaho. Today, I'm going to be running through the Dayspring Church application, explaining a little bit about the design, and then also the phasing plan. I believe this will show you exactly what we're looking to do, and then also be very helpful for the neighbors next door to see exactly what's going on. So I'd like to start out with the design. This is in a rural area. Whenever I design, I'm trying to think about the environment that we're in. So I really wanted the design to kind of have more of a rural look and not a commercial look, which is why discussing with the church, we went with more of a barn approach. You know, you'll see on there stained wood, board and battened, standing seam roof. And I think the goal is, we wanted the city of Star to be very proud of it and really, welcome this into their city, but also we wanted the neighbors to really like it as well and not just look like we're building another, commercial building. I'm going to move forward here. If I can figure this thing out.
Pointed
one of these buttons or
is it not? I
thanks.
think you need to be in presentation mode.
Let's see here. Can you just bring me to page 10, please? Page 10 would be great. That shows a little bit more of those color renderings. Yeah, so here you can see just a little bit more, whenever we're coming up with an elevation, my goal is that every elevation is a nice elevation. So it's not just looks great from the street, but it looks great from, any place that you're going to view the product. So you'll notice some shutters on there. And the goal is just for this to look like a very welcoming, nice barn that would fit, very nicely in the subdivision and in the neighborhood. Thanks, Sean.
Back to 2.
We can go back to 2, please. So our phasing plan, as you can imagine, with churches raising money, is all about how much cash do we have and what can we do when. So really the first big move is, as Sean mentioned, compliance with ACHD, Ada County Highway District. So they are requiring us to, at a right-of-way, connect the sidewalks there. Originally, they had mentioned, not wanting a access off of Beacon Light and wanting us to use the neighborhood access, but we knew that would not make anybody happy, including our church. So they did say then we could put an access right across from Del Sol Way. So everything that we would do in our first phase would completely comply with ACHD. They didn't want us to zone anything. They just said, hey, you need to be in complete compliance. So that would allow us to have that. We have about 1 acre at that time that we could turn into about 100 parking spaces. And then you'll notice we are connecting to the subdivision next door. Really, that's just for emergency access for the fire truck to have that. The church is going to discourage people from using the neighborhood. There's going to be no signs by the neighborhood. And I imagine that'd be a concern of the neighborhood. And I just wanted to address that right away, that that's not our plan in any way. We want everybody to use, the access right off of Del Sol Way. And even as you look at the future phases that we'll get into, we're even designing the building so that people can be dropped off from that road. So that is really our focus on that end. With our first building, we're really going to do, as much as we can. The big thing would be ACHD, of course, parking. And then as far as, ideally, we would like to run water and sewer there, but if we have to, we would use temporary toilets. But as much as possible, we would like to put all that into phase 1. You'll notice this is just a rectangle where the first rendering was the full building. This is how we would do our first phase. And the building is designed that it can be phased. So right now here would be more of our shell. And again, the goal is, how can we get our church on this property to get started? So thanks, Sean. Let's go to page 3, please. Phase 2 is really when we can start putting in a lot of landscaping in. And the goal for a landscape would be more mature trees. Someone mentioned, hey, let's get started landscaping as soon as possible so it has time to grow. The problem with trees is they take a long time to grow. So our goal would be, we really want to do evergreen trees and some nice sized trees, because for one, it's just going to be great for the church. The church design opens up to that landscape area and that hangout area. So that's very nice. It's also going to be really nice for the neighbors as well to have a proper landscape buffer. And as you know, landscape's expensive. So we are going to, continue to landscape with each phase and go heavier and heavier on the landscape. But that would really be our goal there. You'll notice in phase 2, a playground connected to the walking path there and connected to the sidewalk. And for me talking, thank you. For me talking to the pastor and his staff early on, there's a very, very big focus on community. The pastor had a previous church in Twin Falls, and they did a lot of school programs and daycare and all sorts of things. So they wanted to be a blessing to the community. So this is something that we could start in phase 2. And again, if the money's there, we're going to just do phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3. But if it's not, we're looking at what's the biggest impact that we can do, phase by phase. Thanks, Sean. We could go to the next slide now. So phase 3 really then would be that the whole building now is built. With it, we would double our parking to 2 acres, which would give us about 200 parking spaces. And then it's going to start looking like those color renderings that I showed you earlier. You'll notice a bunch more landscaping, even in the front by Beacon Light. There's a berm there. And we're going to really start, kind of honing in and protecting the building, putting a lot of landscape around it. And I think the view would be very beautiful. From the road, it's going to look very attractive. From the neighborhood, it's going to look very attractive. And I think Sean had mentioned, sound was an issue, or light. And just the more that we can screen and protect, the better. And keep in mind, we're meeting inside of an insulated church. So the sound is going to be, very under control. We can go to the next slide, Sean. Thank you. So really phase 4 would simply be, if there's a caretaker area, adding even more parking due to church growth. I was just reviewing with one of the church staff and he showed me a list of all the things they're hoping to do, and it's quite large, but it's all very community focused. I saw on there like livestock training or something like that, which I thought was amazing, but so they'd really like to do a lot of community items, have a coffee shop, like I mentioned, daycare, youth rec area. Really, how can they open up and be a part of the community is really the heart of the church, which I really appreciate, and I really like their heart, which is why I took on this job. All right, let's go to the next page, please. So I wanted to show you the phase 1 building because I wanted to show you that the first phase would not be unattractive. Sometimes when we think of phasing, we think we have to, kind of suffer through some ugly design to get where we really want to. But the design is designed to look like a nice ranch and kind of fit in with that kind of horse and country, more rural setting. Thanks, Sean. We can go to the next page. And then phase 3, you can see how we're just simply adding on to that, and it looks, very, very natural and very connected. And you can go to the next page, Sean. And then on the sign would be, facing that rear elevation. That's actually the street location. And like I showed on phase 4, we'd have a berm there with some landscaping and everything. So again, I think it's nice not to see everything at once, but to have to look past landscaping to see items. And I think that makes them look more beautiful. Thank you, Sean. And we can go to 10 as well. That's my presentation, and I'll open it up to ladies and gentlemen if you have any questions for me.
Any questions?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
So beautiful building.
Thank you.
Yes. Love the way it looks. And I think it would be like it fits our community. So thank you
Wonderful.
for all this hard work for, the design of the building. I do have some questions about the phasing and what it will look like to begin with. So I think I read somewhere that it's more like that first phase for the shell is going to be covered in
Yes.
one wall. So, or did I?
Yes, so
explain that?
I think really the plan for the first phase, I think it would be just a shell. And I could clarify that where it says one wall, but that one wall has no windows on it because that's going to connect to the future building. So right now that wall's going to blow out when we connect the rest of the building to it.
Okay, so is it enclosed?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes, ma'am.
so-
Yep, and that's where
Okay,
we can go back to that. I believe it's page 6. So it would look like that, ma'am. And when I say a shell, I mean, there might not be anything inside of that,
oh God.
but
Okay.
but the church could still meet in a building, right? And then you hope
Yep.
that someone on your staff has a drywall company and they can drywall it for you.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense
Or
to me.
painters,
Thank
you
you.
know.
And then regarding ACHD's comments, their feedback. So they did have a couple of things that caught my eye, and one was their requirement for paved entry in like,
Yes.
driveway.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the other is that emergency access. So they're saying, and so they're requesting that per their policy that be connected and not closed off, if that's if I'm catching that correctly.
Yeah, we're gonna have a discussion about that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm aware.
So I guess maybe go ahead. Based on their feedback, do you want to start that conversation?
I can. I think, our goal and my goal with supporting the church is how can I just make this a win for everybody? How can I make this a win for the church? How can I make it a win for the city? And then how can I also make it that the neighbors, why not go for the best? Why not make the neighbors happy about, that the building that's next door, as opposed to there's a lot worse things that could go next door. I think this would be very attractive. So, for me, that was really the goal. And I think a lot of it was trying to screen with landscape, and we connected it because that was during the discussions with ACHD, they mentioned, that they would want a connection, or the fire truck would need, an access into the neighborhood.
So I want to follow up on that a little bit. I think, Victor, Mr. Fire Marshal, do have a question for you as soon as he's done with his water.
Very
He's
slowly.
drinking it very slowly. Would the fire department be opposed to putting bollards up there that are removable? Emergency access only?
We would entertain that.
Okay.
But again, if that'd be something we'd have to entertain with ACHD.
I agree with that, but I do think that we can dictate that with ACHD because it's not you're not connecting into a public road. It's a private property. And so my thought is if we put emergency bollards in there that, when I say emergency, ones that these guys can drop with their hydrant ridges, if they have to, or you guys can, to get people out, that prevents the folks from going in and out of that neighborhood, which is going to happen if it's not closed
The
off.
church would be very happy.
And I personally think that we can state that, dictate that, and then ACHD is going to have to work with us on that.
Mr. Mayor, I'd recommend that those bollards be up here rather than back here, because ACHD typically, if this is a public right of way, they'll want a turnaround.
Well,
So
wherever we
if
can get
anyone
them on
drives-
there, yeah.
If anyone drives down,
Yeah.
because they don't want people backing up. So I'd recommend that those bollards be up here. Also entertain and would help the applicant try to see if they could get that strip vacated from ACHD from being a public street and just have it be a
Private.
private emergency access lane.
Mr. Mayor, the issue that we're going to have is the distance. So if we exceed the 150 feet, ACHD is going to require that we put a turnaround in. And their turnaround thought is the cul-de-sac. So
So that's what Sean's saying, no, moving that up forward.
100%, yeah, with the suggestion that Sean's putting on the table, I think that would be a better alternative for everybody.
Okay.
But we'll work with the applicant and ACHD the best we can.
But if council could make that as part of their motion and condition that they work with ACHD, then that'll give us the
Yeah.
power to go
Okay.
forward.
Thank
Be
you.
very happy to
Sorry,
do that.
Councilwoman. All right. You have more questions, Councilwoman? Sorry.
No, you're good.
You're good?
Yeah, somebody
Okay.
else can go ahead and ask. Sorry.
No questions? Councilman Day.
Mr. Mayor. Hey, good evening.
Evening.
First off, I echo what Councilman Samuelson said, it's a beautiful building,
Thank you.
right? It really is. My question is parking related and whether or not it meets the ADA guidelines.
Yes.
So in your first lot, you have 200 spaces,
Yes,
but you only have 4 handicap accessible parking spots. And then you have another parking lot that's going to have another 100. So now you're going to have 300. So just with 200, the law requires you have 6 plus one that's van accessible.
Okay.
With 300, it requires that you have 7 spaces, 2 of those be van accessible.
Yes, sir. We would have no problem complying with the law for parking. And if, I wrote 100 spaces with 4, if we needed to do 98 and 5 or whatever,
Yeah.
we would do whatever we needed to do to comply with that rule.
Yeah, sure. I was just looking at the layout and I'm like, okay, you're
No,
going to have to,
you're correct. And
you
I
have to
put it
find the
together.
space.
The pastor obviously is going to want all of those spaces as well, because they're going to have handicapped people who need to go to church. So
Correct.
we fully want to
correct.
comply with that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was my only concern.
No, thank
Other
you.
than that, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to make a comment just real quick. I do appreciate the fact that you're following the history of the property anyway.
Yes, sir.
Horse property here in Star for a long time. Right.
sir.
And doing that barn. I think that's pretty fantastic. The one question that we need to talk about is the sign. To me, it looks like an illuminated sign. And we have a dark sky initiative in our city, especially up in the residential area. So we're going to have to work through some of that dynamics of that sign right there on the top.
Yes, sir. That was really just kind of me being me. I don't think the church even wants that, to be honest. I like the big bold statement, Jesus is alive, and I'm a very creative designer. So sometimes when I'm designing, I just get excited. I
Well,
just,
I appreciate you getting excited. That's a good thing.
so I threw it on there and the creative juices are flying. And then you get in a meeting and they're like, we'd probably want our church sign up there, was the comment. I'm like, that's a fair assessment. So I don't think it needs to be illuminated or anything like that. That's just me being creative
Okay.
and throwing something on the building.
I just want to make certain because that one I was like,
Yeah,
whoa.
I'm sure they do a really cool landscape by that berm and,
Right.
a nice looking sign that's not illuminated.
Yeah, just for the record, that would not meet our sign ordinance.
That would what?
That type of illumination would not meet our sign ordinance.
No, right.
No
just
matter
wanted to
what,
verify
no,
that.
no matter what it said, no matter what it said.
Can get something snuck through sometimes, right?
Yeah,
So-
yes, sir.
Okay. Any further questions of the applicant at this time?
That's mine.
I asked yours. Oh, good. Thinking of-
I have a question or
Yeah.
two.
Councilman Wheelock?
If you could go down a couple of, to page 8, Sean? No, I'm check. Where did it go? I'm wrong. Let's go to 4. Sorry, 4. So as you talked about phasing and trees maturing and those kind of things,
Yes, sir.
on this side and here, you also addressed the trees take a while to grow.
Yes, sir.
Even if it isn't finished landscaped around those, if that would be a thing, you would be interested or willing to put that landscaping up against the subdivision early in phase 1 so that it could mature with the property.
Yes, sir. I have a couple of thoughts on that, and it's going to really be up to the church. But I guess my initial thought, mature trees are more expensive. So my initial thought was it actually would be better if phase 1, because it's going to cost a lot of money to do ACHD's requirements. What I forgot to mention as well is they have to move all of those power lines as well. So it would be better if they could get in, was my thought, and then they could purchase more mature trees. You can get trees that are, quite a bit bigger, and then we've solved the screening problem already. So that was my thought. Be very open to doing, younger plants in phase 1. That would be the cheaper way to do it, but it would take longer to get the screening effect.
If you're phasing it in anyway, and we don't know how long in between phases, those trees
Sure.
could mature
Yes, sir.
before that was a thing. And just some happy medium in between there would be something I would recommend.
Yes, sir.
Just that option to mature without knowing the phase timeline, right? It's not in 6 months this and in a year that.
And you're right, sir. You can get, 6-foot pine trees and evergreens for, relatively a good cost. So yeah, we'd be very open to that.
Any further questions of the applicant at this time?
Nope.
Okay. You have another one?
Yeah.
Councilwoman?
So regarding your hours of operation, what are you thinking?
Well, I actually don't go to the church, but from what I've heard, and they can correct me, is, it'd be Sunday morning, and then I believe there's going to be a Saturday night. Is that correct? Okay.
I mean, there will be.
So yes,
If-
yes.
Yeah, you come up here. Yeah, go ahead and go up there and just state your name and address there, please.
Rick Brown. My address is 6455 Schmidt Lane in Star. And I'm the pastor of Day Spring Church. And do you want me to address this question specifically?
Sure.
So any operating hours would be, 8 to 10 like anything else, because we want the freedom to, any day that we want to do something, but being considerate of neighbors with noise and various things. So We have Sunday services, we'll have a Saturday service. There will be right now we have a Tuesday night services for youth. I mean, we'll be busy all the time. And this is the third church in 37 years of being a pastor in Idaho that I've started. So I served in Twin Falls and Pocatello and started church in Idaho Falls. I thought I might as well come to Western Idaho and start a church. But eventually we're busy 7 days a week because we're just ministering to people. So
All right, so 7 days, 8 to 10 is what that
boundaries.
hours that you're,
Doesn't mean we're going to be busy that long, but
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
That's the boundaries.
right,
We'll be
okay.
earlier than that. We won't be even doing sunrise services at 6 a.m, waking up all the neighbors with the roosters.
Yeah, so
So-
we do have like our noise ordinance and you would
Yes.
follow that.
Yes.
Okay, and let's see, so future plans for a daycare or a school?
Yeah, I started the largest Christian school in Eastern Idaho. Eventually we had like 500 kids, but we had a 28-acre campus that I developed over 25 years. So, with football fields and tracks and all those things. So here the property's so limited, it's only 8 acres. So if we did something, it would start with just preschool, daycare, and not much beyond that because you need a lot of room to do school. So
And so you would need another use for that, right? Conditional, would you need
I
another?
think so, Sean. I mean, in churches all over the place, they have little preschools and things like that.
Yeah, those are considered accessory uses within the
So we,
facility. Yeah.
Even a school,
If it's
K through
strictly,
6?
yeah, if it's related to the church activities, it's allowed as an
Yeah.
accessory use.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
I think we need to distinguish between what size of a daycare and, I mean, my understanding of the rural residential zone is that it is not an allowed use. The accessory use comes into play if the daycare is limited to congregation members only during church functions, but not open to the public, being operated as a business. Same thing with a coffee shop it's inside, it's people who are attending the church are participating, but again, not open to the public. Otherwise, we're really coming into the de facto multi-use zone. So can we get clarification on that?
You are correct that another conditional use permit or you could review it at this point, but a conditional use permit to allow a standalone school as opposed to that accessory use that you're referring to during operation hours and things like that.
So I kind of came in on your time,
Yeah,
but
Nope,
can I
yeah.
ask a follow-up?
Yes, please.
So I guess I'd like to hear from the applicant, from yourself, on what is the intent of the daycare use, the coffee shop use, and other things.
the nice thing for me is I have the history of doing this for many, many years. And so we had the largest daycare in Idaho Falls at
Sure.
Water Springs.
I apologize.
So
I congratulate you on your history, but
No,
I
no,
think that's
no.
less
wanted to share
important
with you
here.
that-
So
it's not just the church. The church here on Beacon Light Road is surrounded with subdivisions. There were many people through the years that they didn't attend our church, but they had a safe, quality childcare. And, we wouldn't want to be limited by just the church. We're not trying to do a big business model. We just want to minister to people. Because though we don't want the sign on top of the roof that Jesus is alive, we believe Jesus is alive. And we want to share that with neighbors. That's what preachers and churches do. So, but we want to serve the community, and there's really nothing out there so far north of town. But even daycare is not a commercial business endeavor. Everything's a nonprofit. If there's a coffee shop inside, it's just really a Christian community. So
get that. And if I understand what you're telling me is you do want it to be open to the public, not just daycare for during church services. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the coffee shop, would that just be or or are you wanting like the public to come in and get their daily coffee?
No, because you're not doing drive-throughs or anything. Usually that's moms dropping their kids off at the daycare, they stay for an hour afterwards. You have 5 people there, 10 people there. It's very, just serving the local community.
Yeah.
Because most people are not going to get off the beaten path, pull into a church facility, you know what I mean, to get their morning coffee. It just doesn't happen.
Mr. Mayor and Council, given that, I guess, new information, my recommendation would be to put a condition of approval on this, requiring a new conditional use permit for the standalone daycare. It's not part of the normal activity accessory of the church. At that time, we'd be able to review, because right now they're not showing any playgrounds, any fencing, anything that would be required as part of a normal daycare center. And so that would be my recommendation. And then they can come back with more detail at that time, and we can approve that use, or you could approve that use with all those details in place.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman?
Yeah, I think that can help solve the problem with this application regarding the daycare. The challenge that we have with the coffee shop is a commercial food and beverage establishment that's not allowable by conditional use. And so I think we may have a mismatch on the overall zoning. We might want to go back and look at the requested zoning and pick something besides rural residential.
Well,
I want to support the uses they're asking for. but
Coffee
I don't
shop.
think the zoning
would
does
not
it.
be allowed in a rural residential or a residential zone. So they would have to actually change the comprehensive plan to commercial to get a commercial.
Well, but
Could it be
okay, but
a mixed
So
use?
we got
Hearing out
to,
here-
we got to make the determination what's an accessory versus what's a business.
we're putting a development agreement together where you can make that an allowed use in that rural residential. It doesn't have to follow, I mean, if we're saying that it's going to be part of this church,
As
We
long as it's
can't
part of
put
the
that in
church,
the
yeah, but
development agreement as an allowed
you
use.
got to make it clear
right?
how that is part of the church facility and not a
So the development
commercial
agreement
use.
can go against our zoning ordinance?
We put things in our zoning ordinance all the time, making changes and adjustments to that, yes. Right, Chris?
Yeah, I don't think that we can use a development agreement to violate our zoning ordinance.
I don't think we're violating the zoning ordinance. I don't think, I look at that completely different. Your development agreement is your tool that tells you what you can and can't do on that property. Right? I mean, let's have Chris clarify. I could be completely off base, but
Which part do you want me to clarify?
all of it.
Whether you're off base or not?
Well, I just want to make sure that I don't, I mean, obviously it's a church, it's going to have coffee stuff in there, right? I mean, if they have coffee things for the folks, if people are coming in and dropping kids off at a daycare in the future, I mean, what's the difference? It's the same coffee machine. I guess I don't get the heartache with this. I don't see this as a Starbucks or a Dutch Brothers or any of that kind of a thing. I look at it as a church function
Oh, I
as
think,
far
I
as
think,
fellowship.
but I think that's what he's saying is he wants to operate it.
No, he's
Not
operating.
not just during church hours.
No, but his
Can you-
church.
Can you clarify that?
Well, church hours, a Saturday, Sunday, or a Tuesday
During a church service.
during a church service, it will be functioning that way. But also through the week, if moms are dropping off their kids and we're going to have a playground and whatever stipulations or criteria planning and zoning wants to give us the freedom to, when we are not going to draw people to come drink our coffee. It just doesn't happen because it's more of a congregational thing, even through the weekdays, Monday through Friday. If they're there, they're coming in. It'll be a trickle of folks that are just moms watching their kids play and they get a espresso or something. So it's not, we won't have a sign out at the road that says coffee shop. It'll only be Day Spring Church.
So let me ask it this way. Daycare is probably operating from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. or maybe school hours.
Yes, probably 7 a.m. till 5:30.
Okay.
Parents get off work and
So the coffee shop is open during those hours. And when daycare is closed, the coffee shop is closed.
it'll probably only be open till, noon, probably
Right.
just morning because it's not an afternoon thing. So.
Right. So that does sound like an accessory use for the coffee shop. So I think I agree with you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah.
Staff can build in that
So-
condition to specify exactly how it's used, so it doesn't become a commercial operation other than
Sure.
through the church.
Absolutely. And if it has limited hours, it's done by noon or 1 o'clock, then we don't have a coffee shop dream. We just want to love our people. It's just about fellowship.
Well, an accessory use would be limited to being open during church functions.
Yeah.
Right. Operating a daycare with a coffee shop next to it, I think that bends the rule a little bit, but I'm open to that. Because it's not just during church activities, it's the daycare is going to require its own conditional use permit to operate as a business. So is the coffee shop part of that business or is it part of the daycare? I can be convinced either way.
I think if we look at it as an accessory use, so the daycare is definitely needs to be a conditional use permit because it's going to be outside the church activity for people within the community or people that don't necessarily go to the church, to where the coffee shop sounds like it's going to be a strictly church member amenity, let's call it. So I think we can condition it to where we're covered, where it meets the intent of the code, and we don't make it strictly a commercial activity in a residential.
I'm gonna throw a wedge in this whole thing. I look at it different, completely different. A daycare is a church function when you're doing a religious style daycare to these youth and stuff that are in our community, or a preschool or whatever. It's all a function of the church. It's not a separate business. That's how I look at that.
If it's an accessory to the church, if you're doing daycare while the services are going on or during the day, that's one thing.
What is your definition of service? Service can be anything. If I don't have to go to church on Sunday to consider that to be a service, I could go on a Wednesday with my kids, drop them off, and have them have their church service during their daycare. I mean, in reality, we're trying to cut needles here and trying to define it as a business when it's a church function that's out there doing outreach on a religious aspect, right? That's how I look at this. It's not a separate business at all. Right?
That's why you guys get to make the decisions.
It's an interesting, as you can tell, we don't have a lot of new churches that come in to our town. And so this is wholly new for us.
I want you to know, Mayor Chadwick, my perspective is just like yours. So go fight, win. Hopefully that works. Because we just have a heart sort of people. That's what, if you want to call, what's our business is to share the love of Jesus with neighbors and through their little kids, and they're doing Christmas programs, singing, Christmas. I mean, it's all about ministry. Every 7 days a week, it'll be everything that happens there will be a service, if you will, not narrowly just Sunday mornings. As if people come there to be ministered to, I look at it very holistically in the same way. And all of the resources, I've been very successful at nonprofit. We never make any profit because we're just ministering to people. You know what I mean? It's not about big commercial endeavors. So whether it's a daycare or a coffee. So if we could have grace and mercy to have some room for that, I want you to know, I thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
there's been a lot of conversation, but I think, the council probably has some flexibility to go either way, but my perspective is if all these things that are being done are part of the church organization, then to me, they fit more along the lines of an accessory use. It might be different if the church exists and you've got a commercial daycare someplace that says, hey, we'd like to rent space in your building and operate our own business. Then that's not an accessory use. It's a different use. It's a different business, unrelated, that's coming in and trying to do it. And so for me, I think there's room to kind of draw that distinction just because there's a function that the church offers and it's providing on its own. I think it could be more than only, Sunday religious services or Saturday night religious services. There's things that they can do as a church that go beyond just preaching the gospel on the weekends. And so as long as they're part of that kind of what the church does. I think the city has room to say that it is, I think you can limit it, but also have room to say, yeah, it's all part of what the church is doing. It's part of the, this isn't the right word, but the church business. And there's different uses that are allowed as part of that. And, you know, like I say, if they were going to rent space to Starbucks to run a coffee shop, that's different. If they're allowing another commercial daycare to come in and rent space, that's different. If it's just something the church does as part of their ministry, then I think there's room for the city to say, yeah, that's an accessory use, and you could limit it that way through a development agreement. I don't think you can use, typically the development agreements aren't allowed to be used to, well, even when there's a trade-off, the development agreements typically aren't allowed to go against the city code and allow something that would otherwise be illegal. But anyway, I think there's, to the extent that the council wants to consider it as an accessory use, I think there's room there as long as it's kind of under the umbrella of what the church ministry is trying to accomplish.
So basically, it's operated by the church. That's the definition.
Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it.
Yes.
You know, it's a church function. And will there be people that are not members of the congregation that come use it? Yeah, maybe. I think that happens at a lot of churches. People come in and use gyms, or if they've got, to the example before, they might enroll their kids in the school, even though they aren't members of the congregation. And those are things that the church does as it's trying to spread the message it wants to spread. And so as long as it's part of kind of that under the church umbrella, there's a lot of things a church can do as it ministers to the community that are not limited to only, you know, Sunday services, so to speak.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
I think that's really helpful advice. And, you know, like you said, we haven't done a lot of these, but we did do one recently regarding a daycare for LifeSpring Church, where we restricted them based off of their zoning to the daycare being only for church members during church services. So not that that's got to have bearing here, but maybe we need to go back and revisit that and take that different approach.
Okay. Any more comments of the applicant?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Day?
Yeah, since we started talking daycares and coffee shops and that means money, right? Coming in, go buying coffee, unless you're gonna have to pay for it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So is there gonna be any type of security at the church, since you're gonna have a daycare and so is there gonna be any security that you're gonna provide? Can you explain that to me?
Well, we haven't started that yet here, but our experience was we had a security team that was, we had 120 people on our staff because of our large school. So we had designated, trained people that they carried firearms. And we did drills with Idaho Falls Police Department, and they came in and trained us and helped us in case of a situation. And so we were in coordination. We had lots of law enforcement that came to our church because it was a large church. And so we just implemented those things, especially with the escalation of what's happening in America.
Yeah.
And that the deterrent, if it's a hard target and people know that, meaning that there's somebody there that actually will defend small children, they'll find another soft target where there's not that.
Correct.
So it'll be in cooperation with local law enforcement, trained people. We have a number of police officers that already come to the church that could help us with that process.
Great.
So
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Councilman Day is a retired law enforcement officer for 30 years, so it's his passion. Good answer. Yes, sir, Fire Chief.
Mr. Mayor, Council, it's just so you're aware, within Middleton Star Fire District, I have 2 faith-based daycares that are currently running in churches Monday through Friday, from the time the kids wake up to the time the parents pick them up. So we do inspect them annually for compliance. In addition to that, we make sure that We work with them in everything from evacuation, reverse evacuation, lockdown, and haul check. And those are things that we would continue to do if this is approved as well. So we'll make sure that they're meeting all the fire code standards and safety standards as we put it out there. But we do have within the fire district 2 other churches operating daycares. When I say fire districts, operating faith-based daycares.
Okay, thank you. All right, any further questions of the applicant,
Mayor Chadwick?
Councilwoman?
I always come back. So community space, community outdoor, like their playground, walking paths. So is this property restricted to only people that are using the facility, the property, or is it open to like the neighbors to come over and play on the playground if, in the afternoon, or will it be restricted?
If there's children, if we start a daycare and there's children, it will be restricted at times where a structured class and school is operating, because the kids will be there and just for security reasons. But at other times in the evenings or on the weekend, the walking paths are going to be accessible to our property, and we're not building fences to keep neighbors out. We're just open and welcoming to people that would, if the neighborhood kids are playing there. It's great.
So your security is not going to say, get off my property.
Well, we'll only have
Depends on who you are.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
we'll
they're being
have
naughty kids, I
security,
guess.
During structured events. So there won't be, security there 24/7.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? So.
And then another question, we do have a walking path. This is to the east side of the property, the school, the elementary and the middle school is kind of southeast of your property. So maybe it's a question for staff and the mayor. That walking path that we're connecting into that north neighborhood through the
For the,
future high school,
right?
where does it connect in?
It connects into the middle of that in that upper wing of that subdivision.
Okay. And if they were going to go northwest, those kids, so there's a walking trail, it looks like, on the east boundary, on
So-
the other property,
So that other subdivision provided a walking path that goes all the way on the east side of that property.
all the way up.
North, yeah.
Yep.
All the way to Beacon Light.
Yep. So if they live over on the west side, more than likely kids are they're going to take the shortest route, right? And so even though there's a sidewalk there, they will walk through the dirt and to get to their house if it's less steps. And so, I guess we haven't talked about the fencing. What is it? Is it going to be, is it going to be closed off anywhere? So explain the fencing, and is there some way for kids to move across a property?
There's not this time here on the east that you're talking about. That has a fence between our property, and that pathway has a fence to block it off, but it's just a 2-rail fence that they could go through,
Okay.
and kids are going to be kids. So, I've ministered to youth my whole life. So I'm like, after school, you keep an eye out if the people in this area are it's amazing, just really well behaved, but you can have hoodlums, and we just keep an eye on it, but we want to be friendly to the kids. We don't want to think teenagers are a problem.
So
Okay.
Councilwoman, look up on the
Yeah.
screen there real quick. So that got that path on the east side that goes north and south, right? So these kids, if they want to walk this way, they can cut through that fence and go that direction.
And just jump over it and walk.
Okay.
right
That
across.
fence
Across the
belongs to that
parking
HOA over there, so.
Because they'd probably go in at that stub road down
Well, right
south,
here?
right? And then walk that trail, the edge of the fence.
Yeah.
And then into the parking lot and across.
I guess from,
They won't do it on our neighbors to the south because
Is
they
it
have
no
horses and,
access and,
and
yeah.
they got dogs and they got all
Okay.
kinds of stuff. So
yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
it's a little different.
yep, okay. So
Yeah, they're
There
gonna,
is a walking path, that, okay, it keeps going north and they
yeah, it goes
could
all the way up. this way.
jump in anywhere at the parking lot or all the way up.
All the way up.
Yeah, and they'll probably cut across and walk down if they want to come into that neighborhood. Yeah. That's what you would do? Yeah, yeah, find a path of least resistance.
It might just be something to think about is actually having a designated pathway through the parking lot. So.
Well, here's the
going to
only
do
challenge
it.
you're gonna have is they can't, this fence is on this property.
Yep.
Belongs to this HOA.
That's correct.
They can't cut a hole through that fence to create that pathway.
So it's-
You're talking to the other property.
You're talking
Yes,
other
yes,
property owner.
yeah.
And see that the big road is an actual easement that we have an agreement with, but that is the country property to the south of us. That's
Yeah.
theirs. They may have an issue with it, but we don't control,
Right,
except we have
theirs,
access to use
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So they may build a big fence because they don't want teenagers, that's up to them. This is our preview.
Okay. Any further questions?
Nope, that's all I had. Thank
All
you.
right, Pastor Brown, you're actually next on my list. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I think you extracted and wrung it all out of me.
Okay.
Mayor Chadwick, City Council, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. We have 8 other people that signed up that are in favor. They'll be made part of the record that didn't wish to speak. We are going to the neutral page and we have several, about 3 people that wanted to speak. And we'll start with Gregory Clemens.
Hello, my name is Gregory or Greg Clemens, address 9832 West Aviera Street. I am actually, if you're looking at that diagram, I am the second house up on the right there. There you go. So that's where I live. Listen, I think churches are great neighbors. Super excited to have you guys. The architecture is beautiful, like everyone said. My only concern, the only reason I'm here on a neutral basis is that access stub road. And I think we may have solved that solution with the bollards. So thank you so much. My concern was all the traffic coming right in front of my house. So if we can get the bollards in there, I'm for this 100%, and that's all I got to say. So
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Peter?
Good evening. My name is Peter Goodwin. I live in Sunfield Estates, 9900 West Sunset Valley Street. Like Greg, I agree that the church will be a great neighbor. I do have a couple of concerns, however. There are 70 homeowners in Sunfield Estates, and only a small percentage of them were notified that this hearing was going to occur. Those that live within, I think, 300 feet of the development. But that leaves most of us out. I never got a letter. It was only because Greg shared it with me that I knew this was coming. I want to make sure too that the discussion of the lighted sign was that there will be no lighted sign. Is that correct?
What, right, Sean? It doesn't fit, it won't fit in that. It doesn't fit our code, I guess, for that area.
Okay.
Up there.
And then as far as the emergency exit goes, what is the next step regarding ACHD? What influence do they have on the entrance off of Beacon Light or requiring an entrance to be inside our subdivision?
Well, originally, this was going to be a connection point to a subdivision over here.
Correct.
Right? And so with that, that's what we're talking, that we're going to make that rule that this has to be bollard. And we're going to talk to them about cutting it back here further so we don't have to do a turnaround.
Okay.
Right? And so we do have influence on that.
All right.
All the stuff that they have to do up here on the top, ACHD is already requiring that, and they're going to be required to make those
So
changes
there's-
on there before they sign off on the
I want to
plan.
make sure there's no chance that there will be an entrance into our neighborhood to the church through that, what is currently the emergency exit.
I'm telling you, we're telling them no.
Okay? Just want
That's our requirement. It's going to be an emergency entrance.
yes,
Got to make sure that we understand that if there's an emergency, it's going to open up and vehicles are going to flood through there.
right.
Right? But it's an emergency entrance only that's controlled by our fire and our police.
So one further issue. The developer who built Sunfield Estates essentially abandoned us about 2 years ago and left some things undone. And only with the help of the zoning folks here in the city hall were we able to fix some of that. But my question really is, what is the requirement in that stub there? Does that, as an emergency exit, does that have to be paved? Because one of the things that we miss in our neighborhood is we have no amenities. We were supposed to have a gazebo. We don't have a clubhouse. There's no swimming pool. There's no recreation area. Can that stub be converted to a park or a recreation area?
Well, it has to have a stub of grasscrete or something in order to get vehicles in and out.
Understood, but does it have to be paved?
Well, that's a discussion we'll have to have with our emergency personnel
Okay,
and discussion we could have with ACHD, but it's not going to be on the backs of the Dayspring Church though.
right,
Just to make that clear,
okay.
right? That would have to come from the HOA to make any changes on that piece, if that's
Understood.
what you want.
But I just wanted to ask the question at this stage.
But if grasscrete and stuff is allowable use for that emergency exit, I mean, that's something that we can have discussions about.
Okay.
Can't solve that tonight, but
All
we can have discussion about, yeah.
All right, thank you very much, and we're looking forward to having the church as a neighbor.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor,
Yep. Who?
just a couple of things. That is already paved. That was a requirement in order for us to sign off on the plat.
Right.
So that emergency plat is done. And then I also want to make sure that we're clear, should something happen with that property, the placement of bollards there, should something happen with that property and it does get sold and becomes developed in the future, that access it's a different conversation than just an emergency access into a church right now. So I want to make
Well,
sure
that-
we're not given the wrong impression
No,
that
that-
it
and
will
that-
never have access.
Yeah, for the church, there won't be access.
Correct.
Future access, if the church decides to sell and not build and it goes to a development site, it'd have to come in for a public hearing. And then we have all those discussions again, right? That's that's honestly what will happen there, right? But when we talk about easements and stuff, that was interesting to say to cut out this easement from ACHD. What does that look like, right? And that's something that we could all have a discussion about too in the future on that. All right, Miss Barbara.
My name is Barbara Moyle and I live at 9800 West Beacon Light Road, just directly north, kitty corner north. I do have a couple questions. Regarding the height of the church. How tall will it be? Is it 1 story, 2 story?
So just ask your questions, they'll take notes, and when they come back up and rebut, they'll answer those questions for you.
And then for lighting on the buildings, like, not necessarily a church sign, because it sounds like it's gonna be black, but the lightings on the building that point down. I noticed with the subdivisions around me that those lights are quite bright, even though they're not up in the, like a street light. And I didn't know if there's, any guidelines on those or not.
It's a dark sky initiative thing that we follow, and our staff would review the lighting plan.
On the
Is
buildings?
that- Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes through a design review process anyway, and we review all that during that design review to make sure that it's not, what they call it, fugitive lighting kind of a deal. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Those are my questions. And I think it looks like a really nice design and a good project for the area. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. That's all that signed up there. If you want to come up and rebut, you got 10 minutes.
So the truth is I forgot how tall it was, but maybe I have it on the elevation page.
So our code is 35 feet.
So it's
higher than
it is
35
it
feet.
is taller than that.
It is taller than
Yes, sir. And I'll speak to that. Thank you. Don. So if we go back when I did have a dimension on it. Nope, okay. So it is taller than that. Let's go forward, please, if we can. Okay, I don't have a dimension. I can get that for you. It is taller than the 35 feet. We brought that up in some of our preliminary meetings. The reason is, and we were going to go for an exception for that. The reason is because we wanted that gambrel pitched barn look. And actually here, I can use this little guy right here. There we go. So if you design, everybody commented on the design and that it looks good. Well, why does it look good? It looks good because of proportions. So I really did try to comply with the 35, but then you get a really goofy looking, gambrel, pitched barn. And I think we've seen some of those buildings done by people where they're trying to save money on the look. And if you can just in your mind's eye say, hey, let's take the same thing, but, go a lot lower. The simple layman's terms is it looks really bad. The other option, I can match this and I could do that, and that's okay, and we could pull that off. However, I'm more of a spirit of the law person than a letter of the law person. I believe that this looks, much nicer for the city of Star than just a plain eaved, side. So that was the reason. And then we were going to ask for an exception for that.
Yeah, so you're saying this here is 30, under 35?
Yeah, less than the
35 feet.
35
This
average.
piece right here is the part that's over 35.
And it's a few feet over.
These don't count towards the 30.
Mr. Mayor, that they're going to meet if this is their midpoint of the roof and this is 35 feet, they'll be within our height.
Yeah, because our code says 35 feet to the mid.
We don't count these as the height.
Okay.
So you should, I think that's what we talked about at the
Okay.
pre-app. So I think you're good.
Thank you, Sean.
Yep.
Okay.
Again, we measure at the midpoint of the roof pitch. And so that's why that looks like that is probably the midpoint of that structured roof. Pretty close.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. It's been months since I've last looked at this. So as I was reviewing my notes, I forgot to look at that. It may be 38 average, but I'll tell us exactly what it is. Thank you.
Okay. You can stay up there, Mr. Rob, because I'm sure they're going to have some questions. Go ahead, Councilwoman. Yeah, the public testimony is over.
There we go. So, back to the phasing and the timing, like how, it's impossible to know how long it's going to take to get through each phase. I know.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you give us an idea? Yep.
Yeah, I'll turn this to Rick.
Rob's done a great job on the design stuff, but as you guys know, with church, you're limited to how the donors give to the church. And so before we, the first phase would probably be 2 years to 3 years before we even have the accumulated money to do that. And then it can move faster if people really are excited and they give a lot, or it can move slower. So it's very hard to tell. But that's our goal. In 24 to 36 months, we're breaking ground. We're doing first, we have to start with all of the highway department's requirements up front. That's where we'll spend our first money. And just so that we have legal access to the property.
The big point that I want to make on that is, designing it, I'm aware that there's challenges coming up with funds. So that's why right off the bat, we wanted phase one to look very attractive, with that, first phase looking really good and not looking like, hey, this building is incomplete. Technically it could be completed at phase one. That just won't staff as many people and house as many people as you need.
And is this the phase one section right here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then in phase two, so phase one is the infrastructure and one parking lot and this building, that portion of the building. Phase two is the landscaping.
Yes, and I liked what Kevin was saying. We were very open to doing landscaping in phase one.
Okay.
I think my thinking was doing mature landscaping just costs a lot of money. So that's where I was thinking of, hey, let's just do some more mature landscaping. But if we start and do even 6-foot evergreens or whatever, that's, that would be feasible in the budget. So yeah, we could work around that. And if there is, money left over in phase two, then maybe we could even do even more landscaping.
Okay, so that might be a little flexible there. And then the playground, the outdoor, like the playground and the walking paths.
We wanted to do that in phase two.
Phase two, and then an extension of the building.
And the extension of the building would be phase three.
Oh, and that's phase three. Okay.
And part of that is, how many congregants do we have? And that's really where phase three says, hey, now we can house, quite a lot more people than we could at first.
Okay.
Jennifer?
Yeah.
Paul. Go ahead, Councilman. Wheelock.
If you're talking about adding the playground in phase two, does that mean the daycare doesn't come on until phase two is done?
The daycare would be like phase four. phase three.
Yeah, we really would not have the room for the daycare in phase one. We're growing faster than we anticipated, so we're almost already grown out of phase one. So we'll probably have to be, it may be phase one and two at the same time when we do build, or phase 1, 2, and 3, because we're meeting at Star Middle School and we already have 450 people coming on Sundays, and we've only been going 18 months. So if it accelerates, we increase that first phase to maybe include or incorporate 1, 2, and 3 altogether.
I guess I would just want to clarify in the development agreement that the daycare didn't start until the playground was complete. Just as and it sounds like that's easy to make that all
Certainly.
happen at the same time.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I put their phasing plan on the screen so you can see what they're proposing in each phase.
And again, it's fluid.
It is fluid.
It's fluid.
Yes, it can be fluid, but
It's a
some
plan.
things have got to be tied together, I guess.
Mr. Mayor.
But
Oh, you do? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well,
Sam.
it is fluid, but we don't want to say, okay, now they're going to build out the full building and they don't have the playground in, right? I mean, there needs to be a little bit of structure and plan of how it is going to develop, right?
Well, that's the structure they have. My
Yeah.
fluidity comment is it could happen on all 4 phases. If they get the money, it could be just phase 1.
Or
It could be phase
combined.
1, 3, and 4. It depends on what the money is and what the economy is doing at the time. The economy's a scale, right, on that. So it doesn't mean it's not going to get built.
Right.
If you want the playground, like right here, phase 3 and 4, youth and children's wing, including recreational area. To me, that's the playground, right? On that. That's where you know that that's going to get done on that, when they do that wing.
Yeah.
There.
And right now, our playground, we have about 50 children on site, and we're using an open gym with balls. I mean, it's, give a kid a ball, they're happy. So I'm just saying,
Dodgeball. Sometimes we all need that dodgeball. Okay, Councilman
Yep.
Day.
go- Yep.
Yeah, I just had a follow-up question. The mayor addressed it as far as lighting was concerned, but just for maybe a little more clarity for Ms. Moyle, who asked the question about lighting. What's your vision for the type of lighting that will be used?
Yeah, so I think the parking spaces is just going to comply with code, with downlighting, and we're just going to do what we have to do to get, our parking spaces. We kind of mentioned, Sean, would you mind going again to the elevation, please? And then, yeah, there we go. Thank you. You can look on there and you can see some sconce lights on there. Again, we were really going with the barn theme, so those aren't offensive, big, bright lights. Those are actually under a covered porch, so if you think of, watching a Western, and then you see kind of that porch out there with that lighting, it looks very attractive and very nice, more like a high-end home or a nice wedding venue.
So nothing tall that's going to illuminate
Yeah.
like the surrounding.
Yes, sir. And that was a really good question from the lady. And again, I want to reiterate, we're not going for a big commercial look.
Right, right.
We're really trying to go for a residential look because we're in a residential area.
Right.
So even I wouldn't be opposed to putting a gooseneck light because that's the style somewhere. So it'd be stuff that would look more residential. Again, I got carried away with the sign. If I ever get rich, I'm going to buy an air balloon with that sign on it and float it around, but that's just me being me.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mayor,
Appreciate it,
Chair.
sir.
Councilman Nielsen.
So my question was going to be along those same lines. A lot of times we talk with folks about their exterior lighting being in candle lighting, something that hides the bulb.
Yep.
So that, especially in a rural area, that we don't have, I know the light's not illuminating somebody else, but you see it from a distance and it really disrupts, that rural feel. So it sounds like you're open to that. And
Sir, yes, we are. And the pastor's saying yes. So that means that I'm open to it. Yeah. And we would really have all can lights in that area. I think I would just like to bring up, I think the sconces would actually enhance the look.
And do sconces like hide the bulb so you get light going up?
Yes, they
vertically,
do.
But not out?
Yes, yes, sir. And
Perfect.
there's a wide range of sconces, but for this, and again, we're always thinking cost, cost effective. The best cost sconces are ones that are covered on the front, and you might just have some light going up and down.
Excellent.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
any further questions? Councilwoman?
Let me turn it on. How many people do you expect on Sunday?
Well, the church
Or-
grows.
Yep.
Like having history, we grew like 15% a year. So from nothing to about 3,000 where I was, but we don't even have the parking or capacity to do such a thing here. So you're limited by your space and your parking spaces.
Yeah.
So I think our full, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong.
Sir.
I can't remember what size we finished the sanctuary to seat 800. Yeah, over about 1,000, so about 400 parking spaces and 1,000 people. It's Easter, it's Christmas, whatever.
Yep. Okay.
That's over multiple, or is that one service?
Service.
Well, we're focusing on one big community service, and this is our vision. So a lot of churches will have Saturday, 3 Sunday services. We're doing one service that's about, we have the worship and the teaching, and then potluck or food we have lunch. We don't want the people to come in and out. So they come in and then they trickle away. They stay around for another hour, eat food every Sunday. So we're going for one big service. It doesn't mean it won't change in the future, but that's what our vision is.
Yeah, yeah. And so Sean, the last traffic study, we just want to make sure that our roads can handle it, right? I mean, that's a lot of cars that we'll see, on Sunday. So, like ACHD, the study that the traffic count that they had was from 2022. And, we've had a lot of development since then. Do you see any concern with traffic, the extra load that it will put on the roads for this type of a use in this, for this project?
No.
And maybe for the mayor
Staff's-
as well?
Well, it's always going to put extra traffic. They currently had some services out there as it stands, I think, right? You're
Yeah, we
using it
did.
now.
Yeah.
And Beacon Light is slated to be one of those roads that's going to get widened in the future as well. I mean,
I think one way to look at that is if this area developed as the subdivision that it was anticipated, you would have at least 300 trips leaving to go to church somewhere from that neighborhood, right?
And just living there, the Monday through Friday traffic is super heavy. And this is going to be on a Sunday when you have that kind of traffic. It won't be like that through the Monday. It doesn't add to that significant traffic, which backs up all the way from 16 all the way to our property, which is, almost a mile.
Right, right. Yeah, so on Sunday, it might be backed up to the stoplight.
No, it's not like that on Sundays because we've met out there
Uh-huh.
and stuff. So it can't compare. I mean, there's no comparison to the amount of traffic on Beacon Light. Just hang out there at 7:30,
Yeah,
5:30.
I know, it's a lot.
So on Sunday, it's very light.
Their services are not within the peak hours that ACHD would look at.
Mhm. And then the
have a concern.
daycare, I mean, that is gonna be, I don't, like how many children? So it's not gonna be like a lot of traffic. Yeah, right. Manageable.
You might have 50 kids there, so, I mean, they trickle in. They don't all come at once. They
Right.
come in, they trickle out. It's not some mass. You got to be to work at 8 o'clock type of thing.
Like a elementary school. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm done with my questions. Thank you for.
Councilman Day.
Just saying, I pray that you only have standing room only in that church.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
But they got to walk.
Yeah, please walk.
Yeah, they gotta walk. If you live within 3 miles. you gotta walk.
Mr. Mayor, Council, real fast, just a reminder, staff, each phase will have to go through design review and zoning certificate. So at that time, staff and committee will review the parking, lighting, all the details will be looked at it another time, several times, probably.
Okay, any further questions of the applicant? Phew. Can we say amen?
Amen.
All right.
Amen.
We are, it's 8:39 and we're going to close the public hearing on this and go to council deliberations.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
So I've noted a list of, I guess, things that we've talked about up here that we'd like to see and that I feel like the applicant has agreed to. So I'll just go through that list. We got landscaping in phase one to be newer landscaping, not mature. I think that's healthier anyway. They grow up maybe a little faster and a little healthier and stronger. We discussed a height restriction. I think there was some talk about maybe it's 38 feet. I think in our conditions of approval, we should include a waiver just in case it happens to be 36 feet instead of 35 without that specific number. We talked about daycare and coffee shop is recognized as accessory uses. That the applicant will work with ACHD and Star Fire to place bollards on the street that's connecting to the neighborhood. We've talked about the daycare facilities being completed as part of phase 4, or at least in conjunction with the playground facilities. And exterior lighting to shine vertically, the use of can lights and sconces to do those things. Did I miss anything? Is there anything else?
John?
You got work with the staff will work, or staff will help the applicant work with ACHD on the Stubb Street issue.
Yeah, I said applicant, but certainly staff.
The coffee and daycare accessory use will be reviewed for code compliance through the zoning certificate process.
Perfect. Let me ask a question though. When Mr. Goodwin was talking about that Stubb Street, right? If there was a way we could do Grasscrete, we don't put that in this condition, right? We're going to work on it as a staff with ACHD and that subdivision about let them landscape that for an extra amenity with the appropriate material for fire trucks and vehicles to go over. It doesn't come part of this because it's not their burden.
I mean, right now they've got a drivable surface on there, and if ACHD allows them to bollard it, or they vacate the right of way.
Right.
I doubt they're going to want to rip up that asphalt.
So my question though is, we don't put anything about that into this condition or anything because it's not part of this application.
No.
Correct?
No, they can work with the neighborhood if they want to. If they want to. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
I just want to clarify.
With the goal, making sure they don't put a gazebo right in the middle of the road.
They wouldn't be able to because it would have to have it'd have to be drivable surface.
You're only talking a 50-foot right of way and
clarify.
32-foot or 36-foot width.
So Mayor Chadwick, with hearing no additional conditions.
Councilman Day, he was.
Should we make it a stipulation that they come into compliance with the ADA concerns?
They're going to have to. But you can put that in there, but they have to, the staff reviews the parking lot plans.
Yeah.
And requires that as part of our code. But if you're more comfortable, they can put that in as a condition.
I just
So,
heard you mention, somebody mentioned maybe there might be 400 spaces now.
Yeah.
That's 100 more than what's already there, right? So
I think we could list that as a condition of approval, that the applicant will be compliant with all ADA regulations regarding the parking for a facility of this size. So with that,
Anything else? No. Okay.
with that, Mayor Chadwick, I will make a motion that we approve this application with these conditions as listed, having found that this is in compliance with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan of the city of Star, that the rezone is consistent with the neighborhood uses and really, and this isn't part of my motion, that's the end of my motion, but I will also say that I love when we have a new church come move into the city of Star. I think it's an indication of the health of our community, the vitality of the people that are moving here, and the desire to build and grow as a community. So thank you for choosing Star to come and plant your roots and to make a difference in the lives of the people here in this community.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We had a motion by Councilman Nielsen and a second by Councilman Day. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Day. Wheelock.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
That motion carries. Welcome to Star. Amen. All right, we're going to move on to our next public hearing. So if you want to stay, you can stay, but it's entirely up to you. We're going to wait just a second for you to clear. Thank you. We're going to move on to item 6C, Mr. Sean Sundwall annexation. It is 8:45, and I'm going to open the public hearing and ask the council if they have any ex parte contact or communication regarding this project.
No.
Nope.
Hearing none. Sean, the floor is yours.
None.
Oh, sorry.
All good.
Hey, we're going to have Sean start real quick
Other Sean.
first. He's going to introduce your project. Oh, I'm sorry. We got two Sean's. Sorry. My staff Sean's going to introduce the project. Then it's your turn, sir. Yes, the spell wrong.
I feel you completely.
I'm not a scene. Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you.
Hey, Ryan, will you shut that door?
Or Jeff, shut the door, Ryan.
Hey, shut that door.
Mr. Mayor, Council, final public hearing tonight is for Sean Sundwall annexation. Applicant is requesting approval of annexation and zoning of property located south of Joplin Road and west of Star Road. Property being annexed is 0.15 acres. Property is an undevelopable strip of land with no road frontage or access, located behind the currently constructing homes within the Star Point subdivision. The applicant is annexing the property into the city and will then merge the new property into the current lots within Star Point subdivision. All application requirements have been met, including submittal requirements, agency transmittals, legal noticing, and site posting. The application has also been reviewed for compliance with the Unified Development Code and Comprehensive Plan. The comp plan designation for this area is south of the river plan and residential within that plan. You do not have any late exhibits. There are no special considerations, and staff is recommending approval. There will be no conditions in this, since this is an annexation and zoning. And this is the location of the strip right here, just north of this phase of the Star Point subdivision.
Okay.
And this is, sorry, a little bit closer for you here. So this is the strip, again, the strip right here. Once annexed, the applicant is going to merge those within these lots within that phase of Star Point subdivision. Upon approval of the annexation and recording, staff will review the appropriate lot line adjustment applications and approve those. So that is it.
All right. Any questions of staff right now? Hearing none. Okay. Sean, spelt right. You're up.
You didn't just say spelt, did you?
I did spelled.
Okay. Must be from Star. Just kidding. Sean Sundwall, 8534 West Happy Day Drive, at Meridian somehow. Someone will explain that to me later, how that's Meridian. But so I can't believe everyone left. This is the most exciting part of the night. So it's been well explained. We will do a lot line adjustment. I was hoping to do that tonight. We just didn't have the legal descriptions done from the surveyor, but we will lot line adjust this across the what is now 5 lots that border this, not 6. And our plan is to build 297 homes to compete with Toll Brothers down the hill.
You will not get that one. I will deny yours.
As a lot owner, it's a right of my lot ownership, isn't it? Just kidding.
Right.
In Meridian.
Right. So I'm happy to take questions.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman?
is the applicant available for every meeting? Just for mirth and comic relief?
Right.
He is on our transportation committee now. Him and I went to lunch after our last meeting. And
Right.
now he's involved. He's stuck. I think this is do you guys have any questions of the applicant or anything? I mean, it's pretty easy.
Just one question. Is this on that hillside? Is that what this is?
Yeah. So if you saw the lot, you'd be wondering how in the world this wasn't included in the first place. I'll let you talk to Jerry about that. But yeah, it's our lot. It'd be like, that's not already part of our lot. It just made sense to buy it. So we did. And I worked with the other 4 property owners that are affected by this. And here we are. Yeah. So it depends where you are. Ours, a little bit of it goes down the hill. Our neighbor to the right, it's all downhill. Our neighbor to the left that has the 2 lots. He's got a lot of workable space. So yeah,
Thank you.
it's going to be grass.
Mayor
Very
Chadwick,
exciting.
Councilman Nielsen?
I think I remember when Star Point came in for approval that we had some significant discussion about this little strip of land and what was going to happen with it. And so I'm glad to see that you found a way to deal with it.
Right.
So.
Outstanding. All right. Any other questions for the applicant? All right. Any questions of staff? Do we have anybody sign up to speak?
The suspense is killing me.
There is no next one. You signed up on the wrong one. So you're not wanting to speak to the Sean Sunwell annexation? Okay, so, all right. So we have nobody to sign up to speak then.
As it should be.
Yep, as it should be. All right, with that said, it is 8:51 and we are going to close this public hearing and go to council deliberation.
I'm good with it. I have nothing to do. I mean, I think this is makes total sense and I have no objection.
Prove it. by
Anybody
making
want to
a mo-
deliberate?
Mr. Mayor and Council, there also, just to remind you, there's no development agreement with this, since it's so simple, unless you want to put a development agreement on there to prevent him from building 200, whatever, 34, 97 houses on the property.
Can we limit the size of the shed to 4 square feet?
Inches.
I mean, touche.
All right. Okay, anybody want to make a motion?
Mayor Chadwick, I move to approve.
Okay, we got a motion to approve. Any
Second.
second?
Second.
A motion approved by Councilman Nielsen, a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Day,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Solomon,
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out all night for that really quick one. Appreciate it. Okay,
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
5-minute break.
Yeah, we're going to finish this next one real quick and then go to 5 minutes. It's really quick. We're going to table it. Yeah. So on 6D, City of Star Capital Improvement Plan Development Impact Fees for Parks, Pathways, and Police. We are going to table this one to February 17th, 2026. We have been working with some stakeholders and stuff and just verifying numbers. And we believe we'll have that all corrected by that timeframe. So there's no public speaking on this one, Michael, tonight. So, sorry. All right. So can I have a motion to table this to February 17th, 2026?
So moved.
Okay, we got a second.
Seconded.
Yeah, we got a motion by Councilwoman Solomon, a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Day,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Solomon, Nielsen.
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. Okay, we're going to take a recess until 9 for facilities break, and then we'll come back and finish out our action items. It is 8:54. Okay. It's 9 o'clock. We'll bring the Star City Council meeting back into session. And we're going to move on to action item 7A. Can you pull that up, Sean, please? 7A. Did he shut everything down?
Is he still on the clock?
Yeah, we're live. We're 9 o'clock. Yep. Okay, we're going to do the resolution for the area of impact map for Ada and Canyon counties. We went through all that process with Ada and Canyon County, and we have to readopt our map because Canyon County took out that area south of the river out of both us and Nampa, so we just have to make ours match what they officially approved. So I need somebody to make a motion to approve this resolution.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman?
I move to approve Resolution 2026-01, a resolution of the City of Star, Idaho, within Ada and Canyon counties, adopting the modified City of Star area of impact boundary maps.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Solomon, a second by Councilman Day. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Day,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Salmonson,
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. Move on to item 7B, the flexible spending account and supplement insurance options for city employees. This was a request, I think, by Councilman Nielsen. We'll explore these options. And our city clerk, Ms. Shelley, will be talking to these things. Go ahead.
All right. So yes, this was a previous discussion that we had regarding health savings accounts and flexible spending accounts. I found that we are unable to do a health savings account because we would need to have a high deductible insurance premium to qualify for that. The city has good insurance for our employees. So the flexible spending account is our other option. I got proposals that were in your packet from a company named Task, which is one that I was previously familiar with, and then Health Equity. And both of those were fairly comparable in the products that they use. They both use a debit card for people to be able to do their spending, their medical spending with. Health Equity had lesser cost. So their cost is $250 annually, and then $2.95 for each employee per month that participates. What I had provided to you that wasn't in your packet, but I provided it to you prior to the meeting, was a small sampling of the interest from some of our employees. We have about 32 employees that it was sent to, and about 19 of them responded with their interest in flexible spending. So that'll kind of give you that information. Do you want information about what a flexible spending account is? Okay, so let's see. So flexible spending, like I said, can be offered regardless of our deductible. It doesn't have to be a high deductible account. There is a small difference in how the two companies that I got the proposals from hold the money, but that's handled in our office, in the clerk's office. So one holds the money for us monthly and then returns it if any of it is unspent. One just takes a percentage of what we've collected and holds on to that until it's spent. The maximum limits of a flexible spending account are determined by the IRS. Currently for 2026, the limits for medical spending is $3,400. So that's the maximum that each employee can put into it. Dependent care, if we decided to go with a dependent care as well as medical, is $7,500. A flexible spending is a use it or lose it. So employees would be, hopefully would.
Is that use it or lose it annually?
Annually. So they would take into consideration what their medical expenses are personally for themselves and base their contributions on that. each year they can opt in, opt out, change those amounts based on their medical needs. Let's see, there is now a rollover amount of 680 for this year. They kind of up those amounts each year, but you can allow a rollover of $680 that they wouldn't lose, that would roll over. These are the limits, the maximum limits set by the IRS. Of course, the city could decide to have lower limits if you wanted to, because there is a small downside for the city in that an employee can use their entire, say they put $1,000 in, is what they contributed. That $1,000 is available for them on day one, even though they haven't contributed it yet. So if they were to leave the city and had spent that $1,000, the city has to come up with the difference in what they had contributed. Where we don't have a high amount of turnover in our regular employees that are benefit eligible, that's not a super big concern, but that is something that you'd want to take into consideration when you're deciding the limits to allow.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Yeah,
Sorry.
thanks. So just a question or maybe a clarification on that. So the use it or lose it, the lose it part, if I understand correctly with an FSA, that money comes back to the city.
Correct. So on the employee's part, if they don't use all of the money, that money does come back to the city. So it could balance out. Most of the time, we're going to watch that for our employees. Anyway, that's what we did where I come from, is we watched it and
Right.
tried to encourage and remind our employees to make sure that they got that used.
Yeah, because they can go buy $1,000 worth of Tylenol if they
Right.
want to,
Yeah.
right?
Prescription sunglasses is where I usually go with my list.
Yeah, and so in my experience, that does balance out for the employees that may leave. There are some who don't end up using it. We have such a small population that I think that I think
And
that
such small turnover.
and small turnover, yeah.
That it's not super likely. We had a couple of instances where I come from where somebody had come in and used it right away, but that was in 18 years, I think we had two.
Have you ever seen a scenario where an employer would get that money back? They would know who didn't use it and then provide that back to the employee?
That's not allowed.
Okay.
So I haven't seen that, no.
Yeah.
And hopefully that wouldn't happen because it's not allowable.
It's a trick question.
The city has to keep the difference. So. I'm trying to think. We had a couple of instances where people didn't get. So what I would recommend and what the city can allow is basing, if we were going to go forward with this, is basing it on our fiscal year so that the year would start October 1. We would have for the year your expenses through September 30th, and then allow a grace period to December 31st to be able to get those claims submitted. It still would only be on medical expenses through September 31st, but you've still got a little bit of time to get those expenses submitted so that you don't miss it just because of a technicality of not getting it sent in. We did have one person where I come from who sent all of his in, he saved it up for some reason, and on the December 31st, faxed it in, and the fax didn't go through. And he waited till the last day and they didn't get it. And so that was one situation where an employee didn't get their reimbursements in full. The way this does work, like I had mentioned, the employees would have a debit card to be able to pay for their prescriptions, any co-pays at the doctor's office. There are some expenses or certain types of expenses where you would need to submit through their portal backup documentation. And then dental and vision require more backup documentation as well. But each of these companies have a portal that's easy to upload into anything that's needed that way. That's all the information I have on flexible spending, but more questions.
I'm not super insurance savvy. Whatever they send me a bill, I just end up paying it. So help me understand where the benefit is to the employee. Help me understand what the city's going to be kicking in or talking about kicking in? And where that balance, what's the benefit of this?
Sure, I did skip that part. So the benefit for the employee is that it's it's pre-tax. So there's a tax benefit. So if you're putting in $1,000, depending on your tax bracket, you're putting in less than $1,000 taxable income. So it's bringing down your taxable income, and it's putting that pre-tax dollar in to pay your medical expenses. So for someone who has regular medical expenses, it's, a savings and a benefit. The city's not kicking anything in except for that $250 annual cost, and then the $3 a month per employee to administer the
So 250 per employee or 250 total.
per year, and
And then
$3,
$3.
$295 a month.
So it's
Pretty low.
doesn't matter.
The other, that's health equity. Task was $400 a year and $4 per employee. So
Okay.
that's just for them to administer it so that we don't have to try to keep track of what's an eligible expense, if that's being spent on the right things, and what the limits, keeping track of the limits.
Mr. Mayor, does this cover the officers too? Are they a contract employee? So
They're on a separate.
that's their
their
own,
own deal.
they stay with the sheriff's office.
Yep.
So you're talking about
32,
32, 42
Yeah.
employees, $70, $100, and 250. So $400, $500 for the whole thing.
yeah, and you're looking, if looking at those, the interest from employees on the flexible spending, I would guess that we're going to get less than 10 employees that would benefit from this, but for those 10 employees, it could be a good benefit.
You're talking if it was fully maxed, it'd be $1,000 a year.
Yeah,
That's what I'm looking to find out.
Yep.
yeah. It's not a huge expense.
Okay.
Councilwoman, you got a question?
Yeah, so how much time do you think it will take for you to oversee the program? Like, if we have 10 employees and they're submitting something, I don't know, is it every month or?
And so they're submitting it directly to Health Equity.
Okay,
I'm not involved in that. It would just be adding something to our onboarding of new employees, explaining it to all of our current employees, because when in looking at those, not a whole lot of people are knowledgeable on what it is. So I'd probably have maybe at the next all staff or something, kind of briefly go over what the benefits would be, or hold something separate so that anybody who's interested could come in and hear more about it. Do a
Okay.
presentation.
So if somebody has a problem with like getting reimbursed, if it gets flagged or whatever, then they go directly to the company, or would they come to you?
They could come ask me and I could help them, but they would go
Okay.
directly to Health
They
Equity.
have that option.
Portal,
Yeah.
anyway, through Task is what I'm familiar with. Super easy to understand. And then the people, there's a number to call if you have trouble. And
Okay.
they're very helpful.
So it won't take a lot of your time.
No.
Okay.
Very little.
Okay.
The other portion of this is the supplemental insurance. I had, shortly after the conversation we had in here, I had a gentleman stop into the office who had been working with the previous clerk and didn't realize that he'd be getting somebody new. And so hearing his information, he is a company that I was previously familiar with, not the person himself, but he was offering accident, cancer, and cardiac supplemental insurance. And so he just kind of happened to come in right when I was interested in this and going to start looking to see who was who to use. And so that was the other part of your packet information, was information about those policies. Supplemental insurance is something that the city doesn't put anything into. It would be just something that we would offer to allow our employees to participate in if they choose to. Some of these are pre-tax and some aren't. He explained that Globe Life does not offer it as a pre-tax benefit. And he explained, which made a lot of good sense. I liked it being pre-tax because I really like to bring my taxable income down. But he explained that if it's pre-tax, then they have to tax. If you file a claim, they tax that. And they also offer something that is newer for me to at least have heard of, return of premium. So if you don't have any claims in 25 years, which seems a long way off, but I'd had a policy for many years, I would be almost there. Or if you had small claims, less than the premiums that you had paid in, they will return those premiums to you after 25 years. They would have to tax that when they give it back to you if you had paid it pre-tax. So they just don't offer that so that their people don't end up paying the tax on it when they're either in need because they're filing a claim or they're getting a lump sum of their premiums back at a higher rate. So that makes sense. So I could, certainly research places that do offer it pre-tax.
And so that would follow the employee, like, so if they leave, the insurance, that supplemental insurance goes with them. Okay.
It's their policy.
Yeah.
So they
okay.
could choose, if they leave, they could choose either to let it go or to.
Yeah. Can they just get it on their own? Or does it have to go through the
You
city?
get better rates when it's offered as a group.
Oh, okay.
So that's the benefit of
Okay.
getting it this way.
Okay.
Okay. Got more? Or is that all of them, Shelley? Is that all of them?
That's all of them. Yeah.
So what you're looking for is for them to
Decide if this,
decide if there's something you want her
this is something
to.
we want to move forward with. If you want me to get more information on something else. Just bringing back the information.
Yeah, Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman?
So just looking at the numbers of this survey, Jennifer and I tabulated them, for the supplemental insurance you're talking about. Only 3 employees who responded said they weren't interested. So that seemed to be a high interest in the supplemental insurance. Sounds like something we should do. For the FSA, it looks like about half were very or somewhat interested, while most of them wanted to learn more. Quite a few were not sure, and only a handful said they were unlikely. So it looks like that's something that people are interested in, and we should probably explore more and maybe proceed with.
Yeah. And we can offer it for, obviously there's the annual cost. So you want there to be, a few people interested in it. But I can do more education with too, so that they understand what it is, because I didn't give any information, just asked if people knew about it and might be interested. So once they know more.
So if we were to start a program like this now, obviously, well, maybe not obviously, I guess my question is, would the payroll deductions be prorated for the year and then we pick up fiscal or calendar
We
year
could do
next
it,
time?
we could start it now and do it for a year, but I would prefer to do a proration and then get it on our fiscal year.
Yeah.
So that all of our open enrollments are kind of all at the same time would be preferred.
Yep.
But yes, they said that they would prorate if we wanted to start it now in the middle.
Okay.
So our maximum cost is about $1,000 a year.
Max.
Yeah.
Can you put in at any time, or do you have to do it like at that open enrollment, at the beginning, or?
It does have to be at open enrollment.
Yeah.
Or at time of employment.
So if we were to start it now, then, those who want to sign up for it, they need to decide like in the next, is it like a month that?
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
probably give a month.
Okay.
We'd, let's see, we're in January, we'd probably start at March 1st to give people enough
Okay.
time to,
Yeah.
for me to educate them, so that they know if they want to do it or not, and decide
Yeah.
in that period of a few months, how much would they want to withhold?
And so the cost of the city is, 250 plus maybe. Yeah.
$1,000 a year maximum number of
Everybody
employees.
did it. So 10,
Most likely, I'm
$20.
guessing it would be
So it's
$500
$3
Yeah.
a month.
total
total.
for the year. Right. Yeah. It seems to me, this is a great benefit for those that have experience with it. And they move to another job. Wait, you don't have flexible spending? What are you talking about? Everybody has that. And, but for, those that are, don't know about it and want to take advantage of it, I think it'd be really good for the city to offer it for those who want it. So,
We
We
can
have a few employees that really could benefit from it
And,
if they
yeah.
knew how to use it.
So we could have a motion
That's
to move it forward, I guess.
And if you could tell me what limits you want, if you want to go with the IRS limit, that would be helpful to know.
think you start with IRS limits.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen?
we authorize Shelley to, and yourself to move ahead and create a flexible spending plan for the city of Star using the IRS limits and to also offer the supplemental insurance.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second by Councilwoman Solomon. Are you taking the notes up there? I was just looking over there, but,
Yeah, I've got
okay, gotcha. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Day? Me,
Aye.
that's me. Wheelock,
Aye.
Simonson,
Conflict of interest here? Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay,
It
that
feels
motion
really
carries.
imposing when you're like looking at us in the eyes.
Very strange.
Okay.
Okay, you.
Yep. Then we're going to move on to item 7C. Executive session. We need a motion to go into executive session. No decisions will be made in executive session once we go in there. If the decision has to be made, we will exit. and